Okay, so I'm going to turn to reading some sources. I'm going to start with source 1. I've got my bookmark here, and I've got the source right here. And when I first start to read, I want to remember why I'm reading and have a purpose. So I look up to this central question right here. Why does hazardous child labor exist in Nepal? So I want to remember that that's why I'm reading here. This is my purpose. And I'm just going to write this here to remember that I'm reading this source to try to understand more about why hazardous child labor exists in Nepal. Maybe the source can help. I don't know. Let's find out. So I'm going to go over to my bookmark, and I'm going to start reading by looking at the head note and the attribution here. And remember what my bookmark asks me to pay attention to. There are a number of different things here. I'm particularly going to pay attention to who said, drew, or wrote this, and what type of source this is. So for the first minute, I'm going to pay attention to those two questions. And I always like to go down to the attribution when I start reading. So I'll read it aloud, and then I'm going to think about what's in there. It says, this is an excerpt adapted from a statement by 12-year-old Kumar. That's interesting. I'm going to circle that because I think this is an author, maybe. This may be who it's from. And he's 12 years old. His name is Kumar. He's from Sindaloo, so I guess that's where he's from, but I don't really know where that is. It's accessed from a 2010 research report. So this helps me with what type of source it is. A research report. I guess that means that there are other people involved in making this. It says Child Labor in Kathmandu, Nepal. I think that's the title of the report. By IREWOC, the Foundation for International Research on Working Children. Okay, so there's a research report by this foundation, and they've understood, they've listened to, gotten a statement from Kumar. So I'm thinking that's kind of interesting to pay attention to the type of source and who said it. It's helping me see that here there are two authors, right? There's Kumar, who said something, and the researchers who listened to Kumar and wrote it down. So I'm going to write this note because that'll help me later when I'm going back to this source to remember that there are two authors here. So now I've read the attribution, I'm going to go to the head note, and what I want to do is, I don't know a whole lot about this IREWOC, and I don't know a lot about Kumar, and I want to find out, before I read what Kumar actually said, I want to find out why this was said. What caused this, why were people finding out more about this? So now it's your turn. Go to the head note, and with a partner, read out loud, and talk about why was this created? What was this organization that made the research report up to? What were they trying to do? Okay, so now you've had your conversation about the head note. That's great. You're getting a better sense of the source itself. I'm going to now pay attention to this part here. This is actually what Kumar said that the researchers wrote down. Everything else is just background information that helps us understand this part here in the middle. And when I look at the middle, the actual source itself, I go here in the bookmark, this section, right? There are a lot of different questions here. The one that we're thinking is going to be most helpful is this one in the middle. What words, phrases, visual details, so what parts of the source tell you what the author thinks, wants, or experiences. So I'm trying to figure out, what does Kumar think? What does Kumar want? What does he experience? And that's what I'm going to think about while I'm reading this. So I'm going to read. We make the clay so we can make bricks. And once we are finished making the bricks, we have to start to make the clay again. And so it never ends. I don't enjoy doing this work, but I am from a poor family, so I have to. What to do? But next year, I do not want to come back. So I'm thinking about this paragraph that I just read and thinking about words that tell me what the author thinks or wants or experiences. And I really noticed this part here, I'm going to underline it. I don't enjoy doing this work, but I am from a poor family, so I have to. So that tells me about Kumar's experience. And I'm just going to make a note here, because every time I make a note, it helps me later when I have to come back, and it also helps me remember what this source is about. His experience is that he has to do this. And he doesn't want to, or he says he doesn't enjoy it. So that helps me. So now it's your turn to make sense of this source. Down here, there's a question to try to get the main idea of the source. What is Kumar's perspective on why hazardous child labor exists in Nepal? So take a minute. If you need to reread, that's always a helpful thing to do. And then talk with a partner about this. What would you say? What is Kumar's perspective on why hazardous child labor exists in Nepal? Okay, so now we've done this part of the bookmark. We've thought about the headnote and attribution. We've thought about the source itself, like what Kumar actually thought. And now we're going to go to this bottom part. We're going to start using boxes, and we're going to think about how reliable this source is for answering the central question. So we're trying to answer the central question of why does hazardous child labor exist in Nepal? And part of how we do that is we think about, is this a good source for helping us understand that problem? Is this a good source for helping us understand why hazardous child labor exists in Nepal? And in what ways is it a reliable source? What ways is it not? So every source is reliable. Every source is unreliable in different ways. No one source is perfect. So I'm going to start a list of ideas here. Reliable and unreliable. So one way I'm thinking that this source is reliable is that it's from researchers. The researchers collected this information by interviewing people. So I'm writing researchers collected info by talking to people. There are a lot of other ideas that you could come up with too. So you can take a minute and talk to a friend about another reason why you might say this is reliable. Okay, so I'm going to think about why it might be unreliable now. I could say a number of things. I could say, well, maybe the researchers don't speak the same language, and I don't know how they understood what Kumar had to say. It's a question. I don't know for sure. So the question is, did they understand? Another idea that comes to mind is, well, Kumar is one person, one child who's experiencing child labor. Maybe other children have different experiences. I don't really know. So those are some ideas. You might come up with some others too, as you talk with a partner. And then the last piece to do with this source is to think about what in this source, any part of it, helps you think about the central question. Why does hazardous child labor exist? And so talk to your partner, find a piece of the source that helps you, because this is something you'll use later when you're writing. You go back and find these boxes to use in your writing. So think about what parts of the source help you figure out why hazardous child labor exists in Nepal, and put a box around that.